Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of Buckets of Duckets. I am your host, Chase Meyer, and over there is my co-host, the great one, Josh Watts.
Boom. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5.5.
Something happens every fucking time. We have not done one of these where something hasn't happened, where we haven't either been cut off for a little bit, or one of our power goes out, my computer goes out.
I would love to blame anybody for this other than myself, but we just recorded, 30 minutes. And this is a new microphone because my daughter smashed my last one. And turns out this is one of those weird ones that if you don't turn it on, it doesn't record. So I was just talking into a stick.
Guys, we want to start off real quick just by talking about what's going on in the world, because we don't want to just glance over that. Just to be serious for a second, if you guys are wondering where Buckets of Duckets actually stand on this, it's very simple. Black Lives Matter.
100%.
100%.
It's ridiculous that it's even an argument. It's a right or wrong issue now, and a lot of you are going to be lying to your grandkids about which side you were on. So, Black Lives Matter, and I don't know. I hope they burn it all down.
It's time, dude. It's time.
There's been too many videos. It's time, man.
Hey, please stop beating us up. Oh, you're going to beat us up whenever we ask you to stop? Okay, cool. Yeah.
How dare you ask us to stop beating you up? Oh boy. It's a rough situation. We support you, we see you, we hear you, and we love you. Black Lives Matter. We're going to try and do a regular show so that there is a little oasis of maybe a relief for somebody out there that wants to listen to this. But that doesn't mean that you don't have our full love and support, because you do.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Guys, we have something special that we're going to do this week. I'm fucking so excited about it. So excited about it to do it again, actually. I was excited the first time we did it, and boy, the second time is going to be so much better.
Knew how excited you were, and that is why I left my microphone off, because I was like, look at him. He's like a little kid at Christmas. Look at how happy he is right now.
I finally get to talk about all. So we're gonna rank our top 5 comedy specials. What the top 5 specials to each one of us that have influenced us as comics, that have basically just the ones that we always come back to, the ones that we memorize. That's what we're gonna go through today.
I do want to give an honorable mention real quick. My first introduction, it's not an honorable, well, my first introduction into comedy, whenever we were younger, I would go on Boy Scout trips, and my dad would always drive one of the vans full of kids, and all of the dads in the late 80s and early 90s thought that teenage boys in a van for 14 hours would love nothing more than to listen to Ray Stevens. Do you know who Ray Stevens is?
I don't know who Ray Stevens is.
Okay. I'm trying to think of how to explain. Do you know that song? Oh, yes, they call him the street. Boogity. Look at him. He's naked, Ethel. Oh, dude.
You don't know wish Ray Stevens? I did.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, you're going to talk your way out of this one, dude. I can't help you.
Ray Stevens is like a... you're going to have to put clips into this. Ray Stevens.
Yeah, who is this guy you're giving credit to right now?
He's a Branson... You know how you see, like, Branson, Missouri, you go up there for vacation, like your grandparents go up there for vacation and see a show like the Branson version of Vegas. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you're on an island, dude. What is this island you're on right now?
All right.
I do understand what you're saying. I understand that. I know what Branson, Missouri is. Yes.
He did. I've literally seen Ray Stevens perform at Twitty City, the Conway Twitty theme park.
Whoa.
And it's like it's a whole comedy show, right? And I say comedy, but like a guy comes out in pants with big overalls and a piece of tape on his glasses, and he's like, "I can't find my computer. Where are my books?" And the other guy, it's like very, very bad. I don't even know how to explain it to you. All of the bad Facebook videos that your aunts share, if it were sketches, it would be these guys doing comedy. I don't even know how to. Oh man, you have to put videos of this up. And when I was...
Okay, so you're in Boy Scouts. You love this shit? Ray Stevens is your dude?
No. Okay. In Boy Scouts, we would do, at campfires, we would do skits Like the kids would do, sketches to entertain each other.
Mhm.
And I thought I was the best fucking person that, like, I thought when I did one, it was Saturday Night Live, basically. And I would see these guys do like these really shitty, cheesy, hokey acts. And I would think to myself, if I said shit in that right there, it would be hilarious to dudes. And
Yeah.
then at the campfire, I would do almost the exact same, like buck tooth, because I'm a nerd. No, like pants pulled up. Oh god, I'm digging a hole, man.
Explain yourself.
Ooh, I can't believe. Oh, you got to put videos of this in, or I'm gonna look like a real
Okay,
fucking
I'm gonna
asshole.
find it. Oh, believe me, I'm gonna do some research. Yeah.
The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah.
I don't know, man. I think he still runs shows at Branson, but he had like he was on. I think he was on Hee Haw way back in the day.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. How old
okay,
is this
well,
man
here's
right now?
yeah. Here's another thing. Here's another thing. I assumed this was like universal knowledge. I thought everybody. I was like, oh, everybody grew up riding in a van for 14 hours listening to Ray Stevens in the middle of Arkansas, didn't they? No, what?
Now you you have a very specific story, Josh. Don't be scared to tell it.
Dude, okay, so we were in Eureka Springs, Arkansas one time for a
Yeah.
Boy Scout trip. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've ever been to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It is one of the
Never.
most beautiful places in the world.
Arkansas is
okay,
nice. Arkansas is
maybe
nice.
not in the world.
Yeah, dude, you gotta calm down.
But it's a really beautiful. It's like a mountain town, and it's like it's shops and stuff in a circle. And when I was a kid, I was like, this is the greatest place in the world because it's, you could buy like a Dr. Seuss hat with weed leaves on it, or whatever. So I was like, this is the best place in the world.
I have been
And
looking
we
for one of
went
those.
there, a 14-hour or so road trip, listening to Ray Stevens up there. My dad would just play it over because it was the only CD that wasn't offensive that everybody agreed on. And
Okay.
by everybody agreed on, he just meant the adults didn't mind listening to it 8 times in
Right.
a road trip.
Whoa.
And we got so tired of listening to it that we made sure my dad saw in a t-shirt shop in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, at the cash register, they sold Ray Stevens cassette tapes. And they had a different one than the one my dad had. So we all made sure he found it and bought it so that at least we would hear something different
Dude, yeah.
on the trip home. I still have those cassettes. They're in my garage. I still have them. I want to see how old Ray Stevens. Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna tell you how old he is. When you Google Ray Stevens, there isn't a Wikipedia. There isn't a.
You know those
I
old
thought
Ray
fucking
Stevens
everybody
tapes?
knew this. That's crazy.
No, dude.
Yeah,
You
you pull
giving
it up. It's like, oh
giving a shout
wow.
out to just some guy. This is the biggest thing that ever happened to him. He's on Bucket of Duckets, bro.
Hold on, let's see how old he is. Harold Ray Ragsdale.
Ragsdale?
Known professionally as Ray Stevens, is an American country and pop singer, songwriter, and comedian. That's a good way of putting it. He's like a really cheesy country version of Weird Al.
Okay.
Like he would change a song to like a fart or like somebody fell down on their butt or like. Oh man,
I know that's a song. Whoa.
I
Okay.
hope my microphone. I hope my mic isn't on. I hope I look down and he's
Yeah,
81 years old.
this was not on the first show. This is additional information for sure.
Hey, still book me on stuff. I've moved past the Ray Stevens thing. I don't even like that. Hey, if he's, I'll fight him. Book us. I'll fight him. I used to get, but that was seeing that in those Branson shows, and that you would go to a theater, and like it's a theater called the Chicken Castle or something, and it looks like a bucket of chicken, and everybody piles in. But I remember looking up and seeing these guys do these horrible, stupid sketches, and thinking, I'm funnier than that, and all these people paid to see this. Maybe it's something. Maybe I could do that. And then I watched wrestling and was like, oh, never mind. I'm just going to do that.
I used to go to my parents would force me to go to these church camps. They just send me for like 2 weeks out in the like just out in some big field in the middle of Louisiana. And
that's Louisiana.
And they'd wake us up at like 7 a.m. to learn about Jesus, and we just have a full Jesus day. And that was just every day, and at night they'd have some kind of
every
show.
morning is better with Jesus in it.
Yeah,
Start your
man.
morning it right with some Jesus in your life.
And once again, we're a pro Jesus podcast. Okay, that's not, but there is
Hallelujah.
a let a kid have his own thoughts a little bit. You don't got to completely mush my brain so much. And so, yeah, there was a magician that would perform there, right? And I went to this camp. This camp was called Camp Fuego,
Yeah, it was.
Campfire, and I went like 5, 6 years in a row. And because I went from like 12 to I don't know 16, something like that, 17. I'd watch this magician, right? And I'd see him, I'd see him year in year out, and he was doing the same act every year. And I wish he would call on me because I had figured out most of his shit by like the time that it was like my fifth time seeing it. And but one time, one of the years, I like saw him in the cafeteria and just like talked to him for a minute. And it turns out like he didn't care about Jesus or anything. Like he was just a magician just trying to get paid. And but
Money over everything.
get your ducats, people. That is what this podcast is about. All right, get so many you got to put them in buckets. All right.
Do you remember what his name was?
Yeah, it was Magic Mike. Good luck finding that guy because there's a million. We know a Magic Mike. We know another Magic Mike comedian. Yeah, Magic Mike Darden.
It's not the same guy though, right? There's a guy that goes around
guy.
denim, and there's a Magic Mike magician that does Magic Mike-isms at every Mexican restaurant in Denham, which is like 14 for some reason.
Yeah, in Louisiana
right now. So I was trying to figure out if it was the same guy. Yeah, Denham Springs, Louisiana. You don't need to know about it.
Yeah. But yeah, but he, he was like a comedy magician or whatever. But I wasn't that impressed with him. But I just saw that he had that gig every year, and I was like, okay, there's a
right.
there's a version of this where you could just be doing random stuff, and that was always my thing. We're gonna talk about Chappelle obviously in a little bit because I can't see a way that we're both gonna do top fives and not have Chappelle in any of them. So,
Yeah.
but I saw an interview with him one time where he talked about like his goals in comedy. Like he was like if he was talking about his dad trying to push him towards like getting a regular job. And he was like, if I was a teacher making $30,000, you'd be proud, right? And you're like, yeah. And he's like, well, if I'm a comedian, I'm making $30,000. Like, what's the like why can't I, as long as I'm doing that, I'm succeeding. And that always kind of helped me as to, even though I want it all, like I want all the big stuff, if I end up just being a dude who 25 years from now is still performing and making a living and telling jokes and having a great life, like, I mean, that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes I feel accomplished just by saying, no, I want 3 drink tickets.
That's a big day, dude. When you man up to ask for, what
I'm not going on that stage unless you give me 3 drink tickets, and one of them better be a mixed drink. How about that? Don't give me that bottom shelf bullshit. So the only comedy magician I've ever seen was the Amazing Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been meaning to ask you this just in personal life forever. Have you seen the documentary about him?
No, I have not, but I have been told about it.
Is it real?
And I don't know. I really don't.
Okay.
I'm not that familiar with. I saw his Comedy Central Presents when I was a kid. I've seen one of his other specials. I know what he does, but I don't actually know his story, and I haven't seen that doc. But I had a comedian that I worked with tell me like you need to watch it, and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm going home right now to watch it, and that was
right now.
Yeah, that was 8 months ago. But I still plan on watching it at some point. I think it's on
like
Hulu.
him. Yeah, it is. I liked him because he always seemed to realize that he was doing comedy magic. Like it was always kind of like,
yeah, it's a little inside.
We know what this is.
Yeah.
Somebody else that I don't have a particular special, but I want to give an honorable mention to was Sinbad.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
My parents watched Sinbad specials on TV, and that was the only comedian I ever remember them. And I remember my dad. My dad's a very lighthearted, funny guy, but I don't ever remember watching him like really genuinely just crack up laughing at anything like he did Sinbad.
Sinbad might be like he's one of the funniest dudes walking the earth, bro. That dude is legit, like just funny every time. So I used to watch those specials. They used to come on Comedy Central like whenever I was a kid, all the time. Son of a Preacher Man is the one that I remember the most.
Is that the one with the creaky floors?
Yeah, I think so. No. I can't remember which one that is, but hey, watch. You might have turned your mic off. Watch your finger. You good?
I think it's on.
Okay, cool. I just thought it popped for a second. I was just trying to make sure.
Make sure. No, it's on.
Okay, cool. But yeah, dude, I loved Sinbad specials. That dude is just naturally funny. I heard him on a podcast talk about he's never bombed. Like he said that, and and I could not believe how much I was like, yeah. You probably,
Yeah, probably.
I could say I can't see you not being hilarious every time you've ever
Yeah,
talked. Like,
probably.
and I've heard stories of people. I forget the guy that opens for him, but I've heard basically like I've heard stories through guys that know him that Sinbad's basically different every night. It's pretty much a different show every time you see him.
One of my big like one of the things I'm still to this day the most proud of is that you and I were on the cover of our local the Baton Rouge newspaper with Sinbad. It was
You
like me,
goddamn
you,
right.
Sinbad, and Carrie B, right? And it was like these guys are all hilarious, and all I remember is that's fucking Sinbad's face in Chasing Josh.
That's right.
Woo!
That's right. Woo, baby. That's right, baby. I got some honorable mentions too that made it off my list. It was real hard. My top 3 were pretty much always locked in stone. They didn't really go anywhere. But the last 2 spots I kind of went in and out on. Brian Regan is the first one out. Epitome of hyperbole. Such a fucking funny special. The dude is on fire the whole time. Just amazing, just perfect, just 2-minute bits about everything. Just hilarious. There's a great moment at the end of the special where he's talking about Pluto not being a planet, and he's going through that, and somebody literally yells out a punchline to a joke from like 10 years ago that he did on an album, and it gets a big laugh. Like it's this like fun, like dude, that's how like into it like his fans are, is if they know him like that.
Okay, everybody focus. I know everyone's excited. A lot has happened since last time. Daphne, can you read the current definition of planet? I appreciate that input. But we're in the middle of a TV thing.
I've actually went and saw Brian Regan live, and I saw the material that I saw him do was the I think they called that special "Man on the Moon." I think is what he called it. I think it was just an album he put out. But I saw the material that he was doing on that, and at the end of it, he just came out and he did his normal
Right.
set. Encore came out and then just started taking requests. Just people just started yelling their favorite jokes at him, and he would just launch into his jokes. And he's
That's
doing
funny.
Pop Tarts and the whole, he's doing all of them. Yeah, it was amazing.
He makes the best dumb guy face in comedy.
He's got the best dumb guy
You know that
voice
face
too.
he
Like
makes? Yeah.
and he just
Yeah.
takes the most simple things and makes them as funny like as ever. Like the bit from Epitome of Hyperbole is like he's talking about like reading, and he's got this great thing about like they don't like when you read they put the title at the top of every page, like as if you wouldn't know what it is.
Didn't know what I was reading. Didn't know what I was reading. Knew I was reading something, didn't know what. Every page. Why? When you go to the movies, they don't put the title on the top of the screen. Planet of the Apes. Okay. I was seeing all these apes, and I'm thinking, what is going on? It's a planet of them. Okay. If the whole planet is of them, that explains these apes.
If this is a planet of them, I said, like, dude, it's he's so good. It's just such a simple, goofy little thing like that.
I went through a thing where I thought I didn't. It took me. Anybody who's done comedy any amount of time knows that to be clean is harder. I think it's harder to be
it's
clean.
so much harder.
I find it funnier, and I like to watch clean comics because I like to see how they navigate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you telling me about. I was talking to you about somebody that's I think number 5 on my list. Jim Gaffigan's I think it's King Baby or
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the Pale. I got one of them on there. Whichever the first one was. Which one was it?
Beyond the
Beyond the
Pale.
Pale.
Mm-hmm.
I had Sirius Satellite,
Yeah.
and I just stumbled across the Comedy Channel, and I found him doing the Hot Pockets, the bit
Yeah,
about
of
Hot
course.
Pockets. To this, and I know that's but to this, that's one of the funniest bits I've ever heard in my life. And the way he does that the voice where he does
Yeah,
like what the crowd is
like the
thinking.
inside monologue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I remember telling you about it and how I thought it was funny that he was so clean and still funny. And you told me to listen to Brian Regan, and blown away. I mean, he's one of those comics that you watch and you're like, fuck.
So good,
Not
man. And
fuck.
I like with the clean thing, some people like turn up their like nose at the clean thing. If you're pretentious about being clean, if you're advertising yourself as I'm the squeaky clean comic or whatever, that I don't got time for. But if you're
No.
just doing your act and you happen to not curse, like that's dude, that's I don't see any difference in that. Like
And Chase, let's tell, because I know a lot of the younger comics that are starting up listen to this,
Mhm.
and I'll listen to me. People will not lie to you. You make more money being clean. Whatever jokes you
Mhm.
have a clean version of it, and you can do charity shows, you can do fundraisers. You will do shows that pay more if you're clean.
Absolutely. It's absolutely true. The reason I am in Seattle is because I did a charity show in Baton Rouge that a guy saw me on that led to all these crazy things that led
And
to a
chased him out
better
of the state.
yeah, that led to just, better options for me out here. But that literally came from me being able to do 20 minutes clean at a dog fundraiser.
The dog fundraiser is why I started for a while, every joke I would try to do, I would try to make sure that if there was anything dirty or like anything, it was something that could be removed or replaced.
Yeah.
Because I did that fundraiser for you, and I made like 10 times what I had made before that for
Mhm.
for a single show. Just because they're like, "Are you clean? Do you do clean?"
Yeah.
Hard
And the
point
thing
forever, but
is,
man, that's where the
it
money is.
when you come see me normally, I'm dropping curse words like crazy because I'm just uneducated and I just like
I don't
to
I
speak
don't
that way.
swear.
I'm just going for it, right? But none of them are necessary. And so anytime people ask me, if I'm clean, it's like actually what I'm talking about is very clean. I'm talking about breakaway pants and donuts and stuff
Right.
like that. I just like saying fucking shit and stuff while I'm doing it. But yeah, so I can always I've always been able to take out whatever like kind of dirty stuff might even be in it. And I don't really talk about sex very often. So like I don't really have like a lot of sexual material. It's usually just I don't know, just
I
stories and
talk
stuff.
about fucking all day long.
They just know when I walk out on stage, they know I'm fucking. That's the thing. See, they can just feel it on me. And if you don't acknowledge it, they know it even more. Like, damn, he ain't even
I
talking
went
about all the pussy he's getting. This man just gonna get all the pussy and not say anything. He's just gonna.
I remember listening to the Jim Gaffigan on Sirius, and then seeing him on YouTube or wherever it was at that time, 2006 or whatever it was, and seeing him, and I was blown away that like this is just some normal old dude. Just
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
he's a
like
regular guy.
this is the normal guy. I don't. That's hilarious.
He's
He's just a
never been
dude.
like. He's
I
always
don't
been
know.
he's always been like a bit actor or whatever. Like yeah, what do you call yeah, he's always just been like,
Extra.
at the side
he. I had one of the biggest revelations I've ever had in my
character
life.
actor.
Character actor.
He's just a
I was
character actor.
watching Super Troopers was one of my favorite movies ever because I used to be military. In the military, let's just stop. And so I love that movie Super Troopers, and we used to love that. We thought the jokes like, "Oh, you listen to me right now," were hilarious. So we
Right.
would always watch those scenes and joke about it. And it took me a while to realize the guy in the car that they're doing the "you listen right now" joke was Jim Gaffigan.
Mhm.
And it made me feel like I was the smartest man. I was like, this dude is really funny at comedy too. You guys, you don't know shit. Watch him. He's hilarious.
You know who's the funniest one here is that dude in that car.
And y'all don't even know. Y'all act
Y'all
like
don't
the
even
guys
know.
with the hats.
Got your head in the sand. I'll tell you what real comedy is.
See, clean. Head in the sand, not head up your ass or stinky vagina.
It's
You
that
could've
easy,
said stinky
people.
vagina.
I just made $5,000 right then. just from cleaning the act up.
You know, it's another off the number path again. Something
Mhm.
that's very funny, and I noticed. I examined when you and I started comedy how we started off, how different we were,
Mhm.
because you were really good when you first started,
Thank you, sir.
and I realized it took a while, but I realized you watched and studied comedy specials, and one of my favorite things in the world were like Adam Sandler CDs and Jerky Boys CDs,
Mhm.
and I thought it'll just translate. I just go make a funny voice. And the first couple times I went up, uh, I learned the hard way that that's not how that's not how comedy works at all.
Yeah.
And
No, I
it's
was
so funny to
definitely
go.
prepared. I had wanted to do it for my whole life, really. I kind of didn't realize it as a kid, but as a kid, I was always watching comedy. But yeah, by the time I was like 19 or something, failed out of college, and was like hating working at AT&T. I was like, what do I like? What do I actually want to do? And I was like, oh yeah, how about this
Uh,
thing that I watch every single day?
I'm gonna tell you. Let me give you my number 4.
Hold on, man. Let's yeah.
I'm ready to move on. Number 4.
Yeah. I,
We said
wait,
Gaffigan. It's in there. Fucking move on.
wait. We ain't even knocked out all the honorable mentions yet. We you jumped in number 5 while we're still doing honorable mentions. Patton Oswalt, my weakness is strong. Was right on the
Fuck.
edge. I
Didn't think about
I,
putting that one in.
I really like that special. It's so good. It's such he literally before every topic like says what he's about to talk about. Like he's like robots, and then he does 6 minutes on robots.
Yeah, he does.
Robots. Robots work in my grocery store now.
And it's just he's got the mic and the mic stand the whole time, and it's just like another just example of just like a pro just like owning the room. And yeah, I really enjoy watching that special. Especially I'm more of a long form comic. I'm usually telling a lot of stories and stuff, and that's what Patton is. Patton is
Oh yeah.
telling you a lot of details up front. Might not be getting a lot of laughs. It's just a lot of details for like a minute and a half.
I do. You know how a grocery store works. You bring your items up, and the checkout clerk grabs them, and they wave them over a laser beam, and the laser beam adds them up. You pay the clerk. They put your food in a bag. You take your bag out to the car. Well, with the new grocery robots, you bring the food up to the robot. You wave the food over the laser beam. You pay the robot. You put the food in the bag, and you take the bag out to your car. Because my grocery store got all of my letters where I said, I want to be a checkout clerk. So...
And then the last 2 minutes of whatever he's talking about is just payoff, 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 payoff.
And by the way, the grocery robots are not zipping around the store booping and beeping. They are cemented to the ground. They don't leave the store. And good for them, because there's badass robots out in the world. These guys would be the prison punks of the robot world. They'd be at the bottom of the ladder. It's like, what kind of robot are you? It's like, I'm a drone plane. I drop bombs over enemy countries. Like, wow, that's awesome. What kind of robot are you? I weld the sides onto aircraft carriers. Holy shit. What kind of robot are you? I know how much kumquats cost. Punch. So they are safe in the supermarket.
My last one that I left off the list, it was super close, was Patrice O'Neal's Elephant in the Room. Just also in the same thing with Patton of just owning it. He's in charge the whole time. He's walking out riffing at the beginning.
I've never seen somebody own a room the way he does. It's insane.
He's riffing at the beginning of the special. He's like getting to know everybody in the crowd. He's setting up like callbacks for later with people that are in there, and like he's making it such like a conversation. Like it is such a great special to watch.
It feels like he's just talking to you. Like it doesn't. And I know they say that about a lot of specials, and like that's how you know you're good. But his more so than most felt like he was just out there riffing. It didn't feel like he's doing a show at you.
The football bit about like it still kills. Is one of my favorite. Yeah, the looking out when the football players were lost, they stood on the water, and just looked out. Like the actual like the football bit he does later about like how it's different now than like now whenever somebody gets hurt, all the players get down on a knee and pray.
Like when we hit somebody, when I played, if you hit somebody and he didn't get up, like we didn't hold hands with the other team and pray, like hold hands and everyone prays for him to get up. We used to do a Indian, like sell a hump dance circle around him, like, man, look at you. And be like, and our crowd's like, he's paralyzed. That's right. We be looking for his mother crying, be like, that's right, lady. That's what you get for letting him out here with killers. He can't even wiggle his toes. Take his socks. Take his socks. We would tie his socks around our helmet for the next weeks. Like the next team, they knew, oh, that's the team that be tying paralyzed niggas' socks around their helmets to scare them next week.
He's paralyzed. Like, dude, so just unreal funny, man.
That Natalie Holloway joke he tells. He got another girl too, that Peruvian girl. What's her name? Exactly. You showed me that special, and it was one of the first specials that made me want to just be the kind of comic that just talks.
Yeah, man.
And doesn't do any kind of little bit or anything. I got another honorable mention. And I thought I wrote down the special, but I didn't. But his whole catalog, Bill Burr.
Yeah. You know what? That's right. I need to throw him in on mine too. Yeah. Why do I do this?
Special where he talks about the duck. I made a duck.
The
call.
wah, fucking wah.
You go to college, you get a master's degree in English, like this redneck dude had. He invents the new duck whistle or whatever the hell you call it, right? Yours goes whack whack. Mine goes whack. A fucking whack.
Yeah, it's that special he did in black and white. I can't think of it right now either, but yeah.
And I love that he always talks about 80% of the people need to die.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I didn't hear this thrown out there that much, but I'm kind of convinced Bill Burr is responsible for Corona. If
it's not, they keep saying Bill Gates, but they mean Bill Burr.
They mean Bill Burr. Like, if you look, the evidence is there. The man's got 5 hours of specials worth of him talking about that most of us need to go. Yeah.
Bill Burr, his cartoon F is for Family is one of my favorites. His brand of humor and anger is really, it hits home to me. It's very funny, but it's also, it's an honorable mention because it's not something I don't put on Bill Burr to just kind of relax, and because he's so mad, it kind of gets you fired up.
Yeah.
And I think my last honorable mention is David Cross.
Okay.
I'm really torn about this. I fucking love David Cross. I think David Cross is one of the funniest people on the planet. I love his writing. I love everything he says. But his specials, I don't know, man. Like,
they're not that great. I'm not a huge. I'm a David Cross fan. Like back in the day, like in his like I guess you call it his peak. I don't know, like in the early 2000s, late 90s and stuff. Like I thought he was hilarious then, but like I haven't liked a lot of what he's done since then.
One of those specials that he has out, he's getting thrown out of the bar that he's supposed to be performing in or something. And I found that I like the backstage stuff.
Oh, that documentary he did.
Yeah, more than what he does on stage.
What was that one called? It was something about America. I remember. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
David
right quick.
Cross, Arms Across America. So I have it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I have it on somewhere. Arms Across America or something like that. And I think he's hilarious. And I've seen funny YouTube clips and sets, but his specials just don't rank.
Yeah, to me, he's a very funny actor. Like he's a hilarious, like comedic actor. Yeah, I'm the same way. His stand-ups just kind of misses for me.
But that being said, I listen to every album he puts out.
Yeah,
I at least listen to it. Oh, Dave Anthony. Dave Anthony. My bad.
Really?
Dave Anthony. Yeah. Yeah. I find Dave Anthony so hilarious, but the Dollop podcast, if you listen to it, and he was on Walk in the Room, which is what made me want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I love his special, but
I haven't actually seen his special.
When you've
I only know him as a podcast guy, really.
But see, when you've invested so much time into listening to somebody in a podcast and you grow to like them as a person and you have all this context for the stories and jokes they're telling, it makes it seem like it's like his special is funnier to me than it would be to somebody who doesn't listen to his
That might have
podcast.
came into it cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I know I've listened to literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of him talking in his podcast,
Mhm.
and he's also angry, and I find that funny. I think it's called Hothead Stories.
Got a theme going.
Yeah,
like
on the honorable mentions.
We like the
And then
angry.
of course I had angry middle-aged white guys. I guess Lewis Black is older than middle age.
Elderly. I like angry elderly guys too.
That's what I want. Yeah, and then my number 5, Gaffigan.
Gaffigan. I saw Gaffigan live too. And he did the same thing that Regan did. He did his special. He was doing the
He
Mr.
has to
Universe.
get yelled at.
Yeah, he was doing Mr. Universe. This is how he did. He did it different, actually. I mean, he similar, but his style was he did his Mr. Universe material. That was the time that I saw him. And then he didn't do a encore. He just launched into Hot Pockets. That was it. He just at the very end. So he does his normal closer of what would have been the special, and then just jumped into Hot Pockets, and you can feel it in the room. People started like, "Oh, he's doing it!" And people were mouthing it with him as he went, like word for word. He did it just like how he always did. Like he didn't really change anything with it. Bam, at the end, thank you very much, good night, bye, and got out of there. Like it was perfect. It was like an hour and 5 minutes. 5 minutes for Hot Pockets. I'm not coming back out and doing your fucking encore. We're not doing this this fake like, oh, clap for me so I come back out and bless you with another joke or whatever. Just here it is. I know what you fucking came for. Keep moving. It was the perfect like keep everybody happy.
I'm moving a little slow tonight. I had a Hot Pocket for dinner. Good to see I'm not the only white trash here. I buy the Hot Pockets. I go in grocery stores. I'm like, I get these. I've never eaten a Hot Pocket and then afterwards been, I'm glad I ate that. I'm always like, I'm gonna die. I paid for that? Did I eat it or rub it on my face? My back hurts. Ow. I was looking at a box of Hot Pockets. They have a warning printed on the side. It said, warning, you just bought Hot Pockets. Hope you're drunk or heading home to a trailer. You hillbilly, enjoy the next NASCAR event. Hot Pockets.
I love Gaffigan. I don't like to go. I haven't seen a lot of like big name comedians live, but he is definitely one that I would love to see.
He's about to do a drive-in comedy tour, like movie theater drive-in, but you're gonna go see Gaffigan do it. And I saw him. He announced it on Instagram a couple days ago, and he's gonna make $1 billion doing that.
He's another one of those guys that he's built up so much good faith with people that even if a special comes out and it's not like the greatest thing ever,
well, he's got such a catalog. He's got such a backlog. Bill Burr has
not
the
that
same
none of his
thing.
specials, not that any of his specials aren't great.
No,
I
well,
think
once you put out that many hours, it's just some aren't as going to be as good as the other ones or whatever. But like it's kind of the same way with Bill Burr. You sometimes you like some more than others, and but when you look back, you always go like, yeah, but he's got 3 or 4 bangers in here. Like, whatever. Hour 8 might not have been as strong as hour 2, but he's still that they still have it in them to do all that. All right, bro, you ready for my number 5?
Yeah.
So this is how I decided to go with it. I had Brian Regan at number 5 for a little while, and then I realized I don't have that like DVD. Like I don't own that DVD, and I own a bunch of stand-up DVDs.
You own a lot of stand-up DVDs.
And I realized that somehow on my top 5 list, Dave Chappelle wasn't on my initial run. Which who would have thought? Like I've literally you've called me out for this. I had a run for a little while I was slapping my leg with the mic. Just because I was just watching a lot of Chappelle and that caught on. And it was just crazy to me that I just for some reason hadn't thought of that. I went with my number 5, Look, I actually got. You think I'm playing? Got them shits right there.
I can't
Yeah, I'm
believe
going.
that this came this early in your countdown.
I know. Well, I have reasonings for everything. So my
Is
number
that the
5.
plant? Is that the plant crack on him? Because
Yeah,
he's living in
yeah,
a
yeah,
house
yeah,
that's
yeah.
too
This
nice for
is
his.
yep, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Killing Them Softly. This is his first hour special. The man was like 26 years old when he shot this. That's
It's so
insane,
good.
right? And this was like 2000, bro. Think about that. Think about how long ago that was. That was 20 years
Okay,
ago.
my introduction to Dave Chappelle
Mhm.
was I was in the military and they started playing commercials on Comedy Central for the Chappelle show.
Right.
And I remember seeing the commercials and being like, "Who the fuck wants to see? Who is that? Who wants to see? It looks like just a rip off Saturday Night Live. Who cares? It's gonna be another Mad TV. Blah blah blah." And to this day, I still maybe the best sketch show that's ever existed.
So I have a very vivid memory of the first time I saw Chappelle too. Was I was watching Conan as like an 11, 12-year old. I'd watch Conan at night. I'd stay
Great
up late.
parenting.
And yeah, my parents never knew what I was doing. You know what's funny is I was just a weirdo, just watching weird things on TV all the time.
Yeah, it's not like you were
and-
getting in trouble. You're just a weird kid who's up. You snuck up late to watch Leno. What are you?
Yeah, exactly. Chappelle, he's a guest, and Conan introduced him. He said, "This is the funniest man in America, Dave Chappelle." And I didn't even know who he was, and I was like, "What?" And then he was promoting Chappelle Show, and he was like, "Chappelle Show," and I watched. I literally from that went, well, Conan said this dude is hilarious. I got to watch, and I remember watching the first episode and being like, "Oh my god, this man he really is." I mean, this is our generation's GOAT, no doubt.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Like if I was doing a all-time greatest, not my personal, like these effect whatever, like this special would have to be, I mean, it's got to be 1, 2, or 3. Like it's up
that's one
there.
of the
like
best.
it's one of the best. This one has the Oscar the Grouch bit. Where, Oscar, why are you so angry? Bitch, I live in a trash can. Like
They got a character on there named Oscar. They treat this guy like shit the entire show. They judge him right in his face. Oscar, you are so mean. Isn't it, kids? Yeah, Oscar. You're a grouch. It's like, bitch, I live in a fucking trash can. I'm the poorest motherfucker on Sesame Street.
oh, it's got that. It's got that great Monica Lewinsky bit. Like it's always good whenever a comedian has something that is very topical that 100 comics are doing. But that like yours still stands out above it. That whole thing, I had never even thought about it that way, and you could tell the crowd didn't think about it. Where he's like, "Who do you feel more sorry for?" He said, "The person I feel the most sorry for is Monica Lewinsky," and the crowd started booing. They started booing.
But there were no victims. There were no victims. Only one I feel sorry for is that Lewinsky. I feel a little sorry for her. Don't y'all feel a little sorry for her at all? God damn, y'all, come on, man. That's a hard thing to be famous for, man. I mean, nobody want to be the most famous cocksucker of all times and shit. I feel bad for her. Not even the women feel sorry for her a little bit, ladies. Now that's jealousy. That's what that is. I mean, come on, y'all. That's one dick that girl sucked. It's gonna haunt her for the rest of her life. Long after she spent that money up, that's still gonna haunt her. And I know there's a lot of women in here with at least one dick they regret. And I bet you wasn't a president's dick. I bet you worked at Kenny Shoes or Safeway or some shit like that. Don't go judging her. Don't go judging her.
Perfect. It was perfect because it was that moment of showing he had the crowd because they initially booed what he said, and he knew that they were going to do that, and he waited it out, and then bam, here's my take on it. So young to have that skill, and that's the other thing too. He's 26 at this. He's like 10 years into comedy at that point. Like this, he started as a teenager, and all the stories I've ever heard about Chappelle is that from like day one, he was Dave Chappelle. Like. He was that, and he honestly, he might have started at like 14. Actually, now that I think about it, like he might have started even younger.
Crazy.
There's, the whole stories of his mom would sit in the back while he would be up there performing and stuff and saying crazy stuff at 15 and everything. Like,
then he lives like a normal life in Ohio now, right?
He lives in Ohio. He lives on a ranch in Ohio, and he's just the famous guy in this little neighborhood, this little community or whatever. And yeah,
that's awesome.
And he throws parties and stuff for everybody. He's got that block party special that yeah,
I was
yeah.
so disappointed when he didn't come back for his show. And
Yeah.
for the third season, and at the time I was just like, I was 22 or whatever, and I was like, oh man, fuck that, I wanted another episode and another season. But now looking back on it, I like him even more for standing up for what he believed in so much that he walked away from that money. And I also love the joke that he says, you can't just walk away from $50 million and have your wife be cool with it.
Right. Yeah. Hey, but you know what else is great about it is he walked away from that and then he eventually got it because Netflix gave him $20 million a special and he's cranking them shits out like every couple months right now.
Now, whenever you say Chappelle Show, everybody thinks the Clayton Bigsby or the Rick
Right.
James, two of the funniest ones. But my favorite sketch that I can never think of Chappelle without thinking of is where he marries Oprah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a great
And he
meme of
quits his
him
job
laying
and he
down with
throws
all
the
the money. Yeah.
bookshelf on people and he flips oh man, and he's got the money in the crown. Stedman Graham, if you fuck this up for me. But still that, and when he's Black Bush.
Yeah.
Oh, who's something about, oh bitch, you cooking? Oh, I don't even know what she said. Come on, y'all. And then, we got to work with Charlie Murphy, and that was a huge deal for me.
Not as big a deal for me.
Nah, Chase didn't give a fuck.
Well, not that. Just because. Yeah, I'll explain my side of it. But yeah, tell your story.
No, that was it. I mean, it was just I got to do a show. We had a guy who pretended to be our manager and stole a bunch of money from Chase for a while, and he got me into.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
That's 100% the truth. That piece of shit stole money.
No, for sure. He sold me. He was gonna take me to the top. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. And yeah, he.
If you go to a convention of comedy club bookers, and you can't get Chase Myers booked, you don't fucking belong there. I hope you're watching this, you sack of shit.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you saying all that. Yeah, so we do that show. You open for Charlie.
Oh yeah, so
amazing.
So this guy got me on a Charlie Murphy, and I got to open.
Yeah, and I got
in the back, and he's the first. I got to get this in because it's never happened since or before. He at the time, I'd done a show in like 2002 in North Carolina. It was a comedy festival, and they just kind of let me get on stage, and it was the same stage as Stephen Wright and Zach Galifianakis. They went on that night, obviously. They weren't, it was like an open mic. But I met Stephen Wright later, and just sitting at the bar, it was crazy to me that nobody was bothering Stephen Wright. Who's not on my list, but
who's letting this genius comics ever sit there and peace.
How did I not write Stephen Wright? I didn't think of Stephen Wright. Man.
That's what this is. That's what's so tough about narrowing it down to 5.
Stephen Wright. I found, oh man. So I'll get to Stephen Wright. We do the show. I'm doing the show with Charlie Murphy, and he walks in the room, and he asked me what my jokes are about. Like right out of the gate, what are your jokes about? And I showed him, and I'm like, I do a joke about this weed magazine. Somebody's like, nah, I do one about weed, so nah.
That's right. I remember that.
Just at a comedy show, he's like, you can't do a joke about weed because I do one. And I was like, I'm not going to tell, what the fuck am I going to tell Charlie Murphy I'm doing it anyway? I'm going to go up there and blow it. And then he goes,
I don't
what
change
is it?
anything, Charlie.
He said, what is it? And it made me stand in a room, like in the green room in the back, and like explain my bit to him. And he goes, that's funny. Nah, it's not the same as mine. No, you do that. And like, then I decided I didn't want to do the joke, but he just told me anyway. We got to over Charlie Murphy, and he was really, really cool. And man, he was hilarious.
Wait, we didn't open for Charlie Murphy. You opened for Charlie Murphy. That's what I'm trying to say. I had a much different experience than you had. Charlie was fine to me. But no,
he wasn't.
My great manager that took all that money from me or whatever, he got me the sweet gig of selling Charlie's merch, which I didn't know meant that I ran his fucking merchandise. I thought I was just gonna stand there and help out. I had to talk to his manager. I had to go get all of his merch, which were like books and DVDs and T-shirts.
I'm standing on stage, just getting ready to live my dream.
Yeah, just me. I'm setting up merch over there. before the show, he did this cool thing where he ate with everybody that was involved in the show. Like that's so cool to do, like that, you know. And but it was funny because like you guys were at the main table or whatever, and he had me over in the corner and like some just fucking kiddie
Chase
table by
tried to scoot a
myself.
chair up, and he goes, "Nah, dog," and pushed
Nah,
pushed
this for
Chase's plate off
performers.
the table.
It's for performers only. I'm
This
like,
table's
no,
for comics only.
actually, sir, I do comedy as well, sir. Actually, I
But
got
tell him
weed
my
jokes.
favorite part of this story, though.
So they tell me that Charlie's gonna pay me, right? And I get done at the end of the night. I go hand him all the money from the merchandise, and I go, they told me that you were gonna pay me out of this. And I guess that was something different than what he was told, because he just he just looks around the room, like kind of looks through me and over me, and goes, "They told me they paid the merch guy," and just looked around for somebody to answer. Nobody answered. I'm looking at him because Charlie Murphy is maybe mad at me. Is that what's happening? And so I'm like, "Hey, no, actually, they they didn't. I haven't been paid. They told me you would pay me."
You didn't, but you didn't say it that meekly. You were like, "Nah, they didn't pay me."
Oh yeah, I was pretty tough about it. I'm not gonna
You
lie. You're right.
You said, "You
I mean, I did.
motherfucker, give me my money."
I wasn't that tough, but I did go, "Nah, they said you were gonna pay me." I did, because I was fucking pissed that I was selling merch anyway, that I was having to do that. And I was excited just for this is a great story and all the whole thing. But damn, dude, I'm fucking my manager got me a merch selling gig. Fuck you. And
And if you're listening to this as a comedian and you've never taken a spot from somebody that definitely should have been on a show rather than you, it's a weird feeling to be on stage telling my bullshit, horrible,
don't do that,
awful jokes,
Josh.
and
Nah,
look
you
down in
should
the
have been.
crowd and see Chase selling to you. I'm just kidding. I fucking murdered
No,
it.
you should have been on that show. We just both should have been on the show. And so
Andy.
after he yells, I thought they were gonna pay the merch guy, and I tell him that nah, they didn't pay me. He
It
then
was so intense.
he then counts out $100 to me in like tens, and like stares me in the face like 10, 20, 30, 40, like just looking at, like I think he thought I stole from him, or like he's had somebody steal. Like that's what
I
it
turned
is.
away because it was intense.
It was uncomfortable. Yeah. And but he paid me my money. And
Goddamn right he did.
this kind of I don't know this fight. It's more of a coincidence. I don't know, but it's I do this radio show, right? I'm doing doing a club out here in Washington, and the radio show asked to tell a story of somebody being a douche to you, like famous celebrity being a douche. And so I tell that story. I don't have a lot of run-ins with whatever. Charlie Murphy dies weeks later. Okay. I go back and perform at this
You
club
did it?
maybe. I can't really say, and my attorney told me not to speak on it, actually.
They think you did now. Optics, bro.
I got to get something off my chest, man.
Oh, here's
I
the
killed
thumbnail.
I killed Josh's family and Charlie Murphy. I'm doing callbacks to other
Right after he
episodes.
ran my parents over, he waited 25 years and then ran Charlie Murphy over too.
I go back on the radio show 6 months later, and they asked me again the same question, and I go, no. I said, I'm not going to talk about somebody being a douche to me, because last time I was on this show, I talked about Charlie Murphy, and he died, and I don't want to do that ever again. And then I told some Pauly Shore story or something, because who gives a fuck?
At the sake of that happening, Pauly Shore stole a Red Bull from me. One of the first shows I ever did at the Funny Bone, they were like, comics get whatever you want to drink, and they gave me 2 Red Bulls, and I was about to drink them, and I had opened it up. I had cracked open a can of Red Bull and set it in front of me, and Pauly Shore grabbed it on his way to the stage and drank it on stage. And I've been doing comedy for a year. What am I going to tell Encino Man? Give me my fucking Red Bull? And see, that's... All right. Encino Man is one of my favorite movies ever. So I was meeting the guy, Pauly Shore from Encino Man and Son-in-Law, and I didn't say dick about it, or... I didn't say shit about it because I'm not going to piss Pauly Shore off. I don't know what kind of reach he's got. He's friends with Stephen Baldwin, you know? And then
he can make things happen. He can open doors.
The bartender comes over and she goes, "Didn't I give you 2 Red Bulls?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "Did Pauly take it?" And he's standing right there. And he goes, "Yeah, I did." And then walked away.
Fuck, if we're doing these stories, I gotta tell my Kevin Farley story too. I'll make this one quick.
I was trying to look. I was doing this because I wanted that story to come
You were
out.
trying to set that one up, you piece of shit.
I want that
You know
Farley
how
story, bro.
You know how to pull my strings. You know how to get me
I
going.
get it.
I'm opening for Kevin Farley, which is Chris Farley's brother in Portland, Oregon. And there's Roddy Piper lived in Portland, Oregon for a while, and he's beloved in that area. And he's a favorite wrestler of ours. And so I'm doing the show that weekend. We're doing Thursday through Sunday. I'm at the moment of losing a little weight, so I'm on a diet. I'm eating like salads a lot and trying to be healthy. And so for my meal that I'm getting from the club, I'm telling them all week, I'm eating salads all week, but Sunday they have a rowdy Roddy Piper burger on their menu. And I said, Sunday, that's what that's all about. I'm gonna get that burger. It's got bacon, it's got peanut butter on it. It's delicious.
I remember you telling me about that burger before the night.
Before
Like,
it
you were
happened,
telling
I
me
text you.
that you were going to eat a
you.
Roddy Piper burger and that it had peanut butter on it.
It was gonna be my treat for the end of the week. That was the whole thing.
You've
I'm gonna
been
have
good.
I'm gonna have a
been
great.
good.
We're gonna do.
Need
We're
a
gonna do
little treat.
7. That club has to do 7 shows. You do 3 shows on Saturday, right? I'm gonna do 7, 6. You do a 5:30, a 7:30, and like a 10 or something like that. That's what it does.
5:30. That's what everybody wants to
Yeah.
go see comedy. 5:30.
No one's ever laughed at 5 o'clock. So I'm telling everybody. So Sunday comes. I'm walking in the club. First thing I'm talking about, Roddy Piper burger, baby. It's happening. Today's the day. That's what we're doing. I tell the great wait staff, say, hey, whenever I go up on stage, I'm gonna place my order so that way I can just have it when I come off stage. Second I come off stage, I'm going to the green room. I'm gonna fucking eat this burger. It's gonna be great. Might even put it on an Instagram story. Who knows? Who knows where we can go from here?
The
Might get
sky's the limit.
hashtag out of this. It's endless. Okay. So they do that. I come off stage and I see that Kevin Farley has ate my burger. He ate my goddamn burger. And then like a second later, they come bring in like a chicken sandwich. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't order that. I ordered that Roddy Piper burger. And they're like, oh yeah, we brought it out. And I was like, and then we both realized at that moment that Kevin just had to eat before he went on stage and decided to eat my food. And I was so mad at this man.
It's not like he thought that it was a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicken sandwiches don't have peanut butter and bacon on them.
Yeah.
He
He didn't do it as like a joke, like a prank. He just really just ate whatever was in front of him.
He stared you in the face the whole time.
Because when I told him about it, when I told him about it later, he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know." He was like, "I was just hungry." I think, yeah.
In Together is all I ever think about that guy.
That man just floats through life.
That guy was on the MTV boy band TV show. And
Yeah.
if I had met him, that's for sure what I would have talked to him about.
I talked to him about it. I waited till Saturday.
Until after he stole your burger and then
I waited
you,
until we
talk
knew each
about it?
other a little bit. I didn't really like talk about it, but I just told him. I said, "Man, I used to watch that show together. That whole thing. I was like, I remember that. I remember y'all had that hit. I know my calculus. I remember all of it. I like, yeah.
I
Says
think my
you
son's burning the house
plus
down in the
me
living room.
equals us. Yeah.
Copyright can't do more than 15 seconds.
That's right. I know my rules. All right, buddy. What's your number 4?
This is where it gets tough. I start getting tricked up. But for number 4, I'm going to switch my number 4 up. Number 4, I'm going to go with Retaliation by Dan Cook.
Whoa. Okay. Talk about it.
All right. Dan Cook's fucking funny. I just like everybody else went through I love Dane Cook. He's so funny. This dude's wearing a tank top on stage for a special. What's he doing?
That's
fucking
special.
I loved how animated. Dude, I loved how animated he was. I loved how loud he was. I loved his stories, how detailed, because he made the little details that didn't matter funny. And that caught my attention real quick because you had to listen. And I think I've always loved British humor, like authors like Douglas Adams and Monty Python, and the British humor is a little more subtle to where you pay attention to. I'm not saying Dan Cook is subtle.
I was about to say
the little notes of the joke isn't the
isn't the big
joke's
punch.
not the only fun. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And I went through the same phase as everybody else where I realized some of his jokes were a lot like somebody else's, and I don't know. And then it became cool to hate Dane Cook, and I did, just like everybody else. When our house flooded, when Denham Springs, Louisiana flooded in 2016, my Dane Cook CD, the double disc, was one of the only things I found
I
left in my
remember that.
house. And I posted a picture of it in the rubble and stuff of a flood, and I just wrote "good"
I
because great.
remember that.
But I went back and I listened to Retaliation. It's good, man.
It's
He's
good,
it's funny,
dude.
and
That
that was
he
one of the
was
first ones that made me like
he was
I
king.
watched it over and over and over and over.
He was king at that point. At that time, he had the crown for sure. Like, dude, I
First
so-
CD, first comedy CD of a stand up that I bought. I had bought Adam Sandler's first
Right.
couple 3 CDs. Dane Cook's Retaliation was the first one. I went into a FYE and paid $48 or whatever it was for it, and I did the Sufi. I had that sticker
Right.
on my car.
Dude, I recently watched like within the last 6 months, I watched Tourgasm on HBO again. And
Robert Kelly, I think, is somebody that's very funny that doesn't get enough.
yeah, he's hilarious. He's got that just great Boston attitude, and he's fucking hilarious. It's funny that they're buddies.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, Dane at that time, everybody thought he was funny. You could not watch Comedy Central without seeing that Comedy Central Presents. It was at that sweet spot where it was early enough to where they didn't have a lot of them, and it was so different and wild that it just played all the time, just always played.
and he hit at the perfect time, and he capitalized on MySpace and social media. And I mean, he
gets credited as like the first social media, like the guy that used
It's-
social media to build a following.
it's just a blueprint of how to get it started back then. I mean, he was
It's
I don't wanna
corny, like
piss
some of
everybody
it's
off.
corny, and it's not. Yeah, go ahead. What were
it
you gonna
feels
say?
like he brought comedy back into the mainstream or started the conversation.
Okay.
Where people that
crossed
didn't watch
over.
comedy knew who Dane
It
Cook
crossed over
was.
in that way
Yeah.
for sure. Like regular people knew like who he was, the specials. He was starting to be in movies and stuff. Like that was his moment. I mean, he and the thing that you're talking about, like the little observations and stuff, I feel like is what eventually kind of did him in, because I think he started to overdo it way too much on the later specials. And it's like, dude, you don't have to point out every little detail of every little story that you're telling.
The last one he did, the most recent one, seemed to get back around to it was better than they had been.
Is that the Showtime one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I didn't see that one.
I believe so.
Like
It's
came
much
out in the
more-
last like 5 years or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know how Aziz Ansari kind of like toned it down and changed, though, like he was sitting on a stool in a t-shirt. And not
Yeah.
it's kind of the equivalent of that. Like he
It's not
revamped.
isolated incident, right? It's not that one you're talking about. Where he's
I
like
don't
in the
think so.
small club.
I don't know. I don't remember.
No, that was
to be
still
honest.
closer to his peak at that point.
This is the most recent.
Oh,
But
okay. So I
watching-
mean,
listen-
yeah.
Yeah, listening to Retaliation again made me want to go back and listen to his other stuff, and I did.
Yeah.
When you swing that hard, you're gonna miss sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is weird that he's not really a thing at all anymore.
I don't
like,
understand that.
I think he still sells out theaters from what I understand, but like, he's not.
He's a good-looking dude. He's a pretty decent actor. He's been in some good movies. He's a funny stand-up, and the people that he has heat with are not the people that would pay to go see him at the Superdome. That's not the people that have heat with him for stealing jokes or whatever it was back then.
Yeah,
So it
so
seems
a
like he
regular
should still
person doesn't
be-
even know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like he should still be around. I also respect the shit out of him for going on Louis and making a joke about all of that and
Yeah, the
arguing
joke
his
thing.
side of it. And it was actually a really solid point.
No, and it was
I hate that I was the first one to bring Louis up.
it's all right. I mean, we're talking about comedy. He's gonna come. Look, he's a dishonorable mention. Okay.
He's gonna come.
Jesus. Yeah, man.
That's the trailer. That's the trailer of the whole episode.
Louis getting in trouble made all of his older jokes and made you look at him differently. Because like before you always thought like you're like, oh, but this is like a good dude. He's, whatever. But then we were like, oh man, he's a creep. And now whenever you're saying the creepy thing, now it's just a creepy guy saying a creepy thing.
I hate
Yeah.
more so than anyone doing comedy now. Louis C.K. helped me figure out how to do like what I wanted and what my voice was.
No, for
Watching
sure.
him and the way he talked about his kids, because I it, I enjoy talking about my kids and I like to make it sound shitty, like I don't, like that same kind of. And seeing him do it, but he didn't mean it. And you're like, oh man, and it was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But then you hear all the stuff and you go back, like you said, and you're like, oh man.
It doesn't feel
Uh,
the same. Yeah.
it was a
It kind
huge
of.
it was a huge disappointment to me that he's a dirtbag. I don't know that I can separate the artist from the art or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's part of when you see the dude. That's the story you think of. You think of like this dude
Yeah.
just
The
jerking
other
off in front of people.
let's get it out of the way right now. The main person that made me want to do comedy was Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I think Bill Cosby as himself is one of the funniest albums that's ever
It
been
taught
done.
that special taught me pacing. It
Yep.
taught me how to let a moment like breathe. Like he's got those moments like early on where he kind of says something and he looks back at the crowd almost like smiling like with them. Like look at all this that's going on, and then right back into it. And yeah, man, that
as
one's
a hype
tough.
as a hyperactive kid who always talked with my hands and ran around, watching him control an entire stadium of people with just a spotlight, a chair, and a microphone blows my mind. Now
Yeah,
it turns out he's like the biggest piece of shit in the world, and it's I don't want to say it's heartbreaking for me as somebody who liked his comedy because I'm not a victim.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
not somebody whose life he
for
wrote,
us,
so I
the
don't want to
guy
say
that
that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But it's really disappointing, and he is still somebody that I can't. I, if it was possible for me to separate an artist from the art, he would be who I would want it to be. He's the
yeah.
person I
Just
wish
so
the
you
most
could watch. Yeah.
I could pretend I didn't know any of that stuff about him, but I do know it, and I've tried. I can't even look at
Can't
his face.
I haven't.
It's
Yeah,
really
I haven't watched this special since the allegations started coming in, and then when the convict. I mean, even before the convict, just the second that it started coming out. It's. I definitely grew in that way because I remember my initial reaction when it happened was like, because he just meant so much to me as a comic that I was
same.
like, well, you
I
can
did the same.
separate it, whatever. And then, but then I never went back and watched it. I still couldn't make myself watch it. And then over time, I realized like, no, I can't separate it. If you can, whatever, man. But I can't not look at how are you not going to watch that and go, that's a rapist. And
That's all
not
I think
only,
about is
yeah,
later that
not
night
only
he
a
probably
rapist, like a
drugged
rapist
somebody,
for 50 years.
and then to have the audacity to send out some of the letters he has Bill
Yeah.
Cosby's a sack of shit, and that's all there is to it. I hope he dies in jail.
Yep. So
Did you do your number 4?
nope, my number 4 is up now. So my number 4 is Greg Giraldo, Midlife Crisis. This special. I wanted to be this guy so bad when I started comedy. I used to call myself a rant comic just because I watched this dude be so smart and talk about the world in such a way, and also just be filthy too. Like he's just also filthy at the same time. Go ahead. What were you
I
gonna say?
put him. Everything I've seen of his, I thought was pretty funny. I've never
Yeah.
gone out of my way to watch his stuff or look for it. I he's like I put him with Stanhope
Yeah.
and Attell. Like, well, Attell, I guess. But where they're like, that's a very specific brand of comedy.
Yeah.
Like that's a very and knowing you as long as I've known you, and I knew that you like Greg, but I kind of
Mhm.
forgot. And hearing it now, it's a little surprising to hear.
No, you
Just know,
can't
you know what I
tell
mean?
you can't tell his influence on me from what you watch me on stage now. Like it's not I don't talk as fast as he does. I don't have like the punches the way that he does. Um but yeah, man, I fucking love this dude. I used to love watching him on all the roast. I used to love watching him. He was on Comedy Central nonstop. His Comedy
Mm.
Central presents specials. He had 2 of them, and they're just phenomenal. He had that whole thing about back at the time there was some kind of I forget what the virus was at the time, monkeypox. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like monkeypox is going on. This is like early 2000s, and they're talking about how they traced down where monkeypox came from, And he's like, if they did that, where the fuck is Osama bin Laden? Like how? And it was like just a perfect, like he had this amazing way of like just mixing in kind of filthy jokes with like political jokes and topical jokes. Like he was such a good like topical writer. And you just like saw his life. Like there's a bit he does in the special where he's just talking about, he's like, I'm getting divorced again, and the whole crowd like applauds, and then he starts talking about how dumb it is and people say people choose to be gay, and he's like you don't choose to be gay. He was like, I wish. He was like, I don't choose to be attracted to women. He was like, it sucks being attracted to women because that means every 10 years I have to give my shit away and start over again. And it's just built just so perfectly like built in. He yeah, check this special out, man. You might hit home a little bit.
It might be a little too close.
His opening, dude, so funny. He says something about like seeing three homeless dudes singing a cappella together. He's like, how'd they even 2 me 3? Bruh, this man like, and there's a moment in the special where somebody's sleeping in the crowd and he calls it out and wakes the dude up and everything. He's like, what are you doing here? But the dude's like a Jamaican guy. And then he ends up telling this, like, he goes back and forth about how ridiculous it is that he's sleeping and all the thing. And he makes the obvious weed joke. She must be sleepy because it's a Jamaican dude or whatever, and the whole thing. And then he just tells this, like, this story about going on this glass bottom boat tour or something like that. And he was talking about how there's like a communication issue, and it just completely just does this long drawn out bit, nails it, bow, moves on to the next thing. And he kept it all in the special, and it's just amazing because like that's on the spot. That was on the spot, and it was like just a perfectly crafted bit. And yeah, man, it's one of my favorites. I've watched it a million times. I used to like wake up from hearing the DVD music playing when I'd leave it on. Let me see if there's some other great stuff I like in here. Oh, it's also funny because he's talking during the time of like Obama McCain like presidential race. Yeah, and so he's got a lot of great stuff about that, about how McCain can't believe that he's losing. He's like, he's this close from going, he's black. Like, he's like, I'm so angry, I want to throw my hands in the air, but I can't because I'm a war hero. Like, so, bro, this fucking special is he's so good at like big bits, but with like little jokes on the inside. He like rips on Michael Phelps for a little while too. Like, Michael Phelps wrote some book or something, and then he's like, it's called like Beyond the Surface or something like that, or Under the Surface. He's like, what's in there? He's like, yeah, what's in there, Michael? And he just fucking rips it, dude. It's bro, I love this special. This is one of my favorite specials. I know it's a surprise to be in my top, but it really is like up there.
I knew you loved Giraldi, but to hear it again now and to hear it in your top is
yeah, man.
Surprised.
Yeah, he doesn't have much.
I mean, he's great. I'm not saying he's not a good comedian. It's just surprising to hear.
Yeah, no, he's you should definitely check out. I don't think I want
to do this podcast anymore with you, to be honest with you.
Why? Because you don't like amazing comedians that didn't get enough credit?
That's where you're coming from, bro.
Is that what you? I mean, sure. If you want to just pick, I guess what you're just the next 3 are Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart. Is that what's about to happen?
Kevin James, Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart. You son of a bitch.
All right, who's your number 3?
I just realized that I have 3 spots left, and I have 4 comics left.
Ooh, you gotta make that tough decision.
I'm gonna go with the more. I'll go with the more rooted. Daniel Tosh, True Stories I Made Up.
Whoa, yeah, man. I forgot about that special.
Daniel Tosh's stand-up is. I love it. He cracks me up. I had a problem when I first started out comedy talking really fast because I thought that was what was funny about Tosh was that he said he talked so fast, but it was dense. Like it had stuff in it. He wasn't just rambling.
Yeah.
And it was at the time I thought it's hilarious that he's offensive, but not really. And that joke he does about everybody tasting like their own ethnicity. And then
you don't eat white people.
It tastes like macaroni and cheese, but that's a joke. You don't eat white people. Like God. And he made everybody laugh. Oh man. And To this day, I find it fascinating about Tosh that you don't know.
Anything about him.
Is he gay? Does he have a wife? Is it like none of it?
He
Not
doesn't
that
give
that's, but I mean, like he doesn't
interviews.
have social media. Does he have kids? Does he ever been on a podcast? What's he? You know nothing about him except what he puts out, and I like that.
Yeah, it's
I like that a lot.
interesting. He's never really like let you know. I know he's from Florida. I think him and Todd Glass are buddies. Like that's the two
Boy,
things.
he hates Nick Saban. I know
That's
that.
the two things. Oh, really? Oh yeah, from the show, right? He rips on him all the time. Huh?
He rips on him in one of the specials. His the last
Oh, because
special, I think.
yeah, I
like
forgot about that because
2007 or
Saban's
whatever
got
it was.
the Dolphins tie for being in Florida and all that shit.
But I'm gonna tie that. I'll tie that Daniel Tosh one
Okay.
for 3.
Oh, we make our own rules.
Rory Scoville's The First Time I Do Comedy, or the first time Rory does stand up. What is it?
Whoa. Okay.
Have you seen that?
I'm embarrassed to say I haven't. And I might be the only comic that has.
It's one of the most rewatchable specials I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. He does a whole bit about it. The whole bit about Rory Scovel is just a genius level comedian. The stuff, everything he does is funny from a different angle. I feel like you can never really. I don't feel like you can peg him down. He does the opening bit of the special is he has a London fog jacket on, like one of those. Is that what they're called? London fog, like the dad jackets with the little straps on. What are they called? London fog, whatever.
I'll accept
And he's
that.
got it. Members only jacket.
Oh, okay. So not London Fog.
I think London Fog was a knockoff brand my broke ass parents had when we were growing up. And he has this members only jacket on, and he's got it like up here, and he's got his hand in his pocket, and he just starts the special like that, and he's like, what's weird is I'm not even going to talk about this, and then he makes a whole bit out of his jacket being like riding up on his chest. I don't even know how to. It doesn't sound funny, but it's one of the most rewatchable, funny, weird specials I've ever seen. It's on Netflix.
Should be a pretty good special.
Yeah, my jacket's a problem for a lot of people. In 3 years, Kanye's going to invent this jacket, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, now I like it. Bullshit. I set the trend. Is someone getting to the airport and being like, what? I have to take my shoes off? Arrest and kill that person. They're probably not a terrorist, but they're holding up the line. And what is terrorism on like a local level?
No, I know. I've looked at it a bunch. I just haven't watched it. I
do know it's on. You chose not to support a
It's
fellow. I got no.
All right, you ready? Are you ready for what happened? So,
here's what happened.
Let me explain myself. In the last couple of years, I stopped watching comedy specials as much as I used to. I stopped at least watching like newer ones.
All right.
I used to nonstop watch them like all the time. I would just be constantly watching. And so I'll sometimes go back and watch like my favorites, but I have trouble. At a certain point, I felt like I had to stop being such a fan and start to look at some people as like, especially people coming out with specials now as like peers, because a lot of times I either know them by a couple of degrees of separation or maybe have opened for them and stuff like that. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of quit watching. I'm more inspired by the older stuff than I am by like what's going on, which is not saying that what's like comics doing stuff now aren't great. Like they're all fucking hilarious, but I just think I'm better. Maybe is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Man, I can't wait to get to the rest of my list now.
Oh. Yeah, I think I know one. I know one that's gonna set me off.
It's gonna
also
set
that
you off
too. I don't want to like.
reevaluated.
I don't want to like catch anything either. Like I wanted to. I started to get out on the road a little bit more, and I just wanted to make sure that I was my authentic self as much as possible. So I just you got anything else on that?
No, that was my number 3. But now I really want to get down to my top 2.
All right, bro.
Which, how long have we been recording now? Because it sounds like my son is murdering something outside.
Hour 15.
That's fine. We're good. I was just wondering.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. So my my third favorite special of all time is Eddie Murphy Delirious. Dude.
Never seen it.
Shut your mouth. Shut your fucking mouth. I watched you, mate. I made you watch this.
Who?
So the very first time that I saw this was I was in high school, and what actually happened was I saw Raw first. I saw Eddie Murphy Raw first.
What's he wearing in Raw?
That's the blue suit. That's
All
the
right.
blue leather suit.
Yeah.
Delirious is the red leather. Um, Delirious used to play on Comedy Central, and it came on. They used to play at like midnight because they could show it uncut. You can hear all the f bombs and everything. And so I remember being I was playing baseball. I was with the team. We were somewhere in a hotel, and they was coming on that night. And I was so intrigued because I really only knew him as, I mean, at that point I'm 16, 17. I only knew him as like Dr. Doolittle and stuff like that. Like I didn't know him as a comic. Like it was such a like, what, he did comedy? Like that's insane. I didn't know his
Pretty good
SNL.
at it.
Like how would I saw his SNL? And I watched Raw, and it was it was so different than what I expected. I didn't expect it to be that dirty. It's so well written, all the things. So anyway, I get really obsessed with Eddie at this time, and I
You
start.
want to talk about Young too? When that came out,
Dude, so he got on SNL at 19. This special, Delirious, came out when he was 22. 22 years old. I believe it was 1983. I get obsessed with Eddie. I started looking up everything he's done. My mom loved Eddie Murphy. I started asking her about him and everything. I find this interview, and he starts, and I keep hearing them just talking about Delirious, like Delirious. I'm like, what is Delirious? I don't know what Delirious is, and it's not like available anywhere. The DVD's not available anywhere. And then a couple years later, when I'm maybe like 20, maybe 19, it's finally available. My video store had it. I went to
I remember that.
I went to USA Video. This is actually this copy here is one that I bought, but the first copy that I had of it was I got it at USA Video. It's the only one I ever saw. I never rented movies.
USA
at this
Video
time.
was in Denham, wasn't it?
Yeah. I got
know
it
the
from
video
that one.
store. Yeah,
And
that's
so,
really funny.
and the video stores are done at this point. Like I had not rented a video in forever. It's funny that this one's even still open. I
Good
go
job,
get
Bill
it.
Gates.
I go get it and immediately go, I'm not bringing this shit back. This is my DVD now. So I just I kept it forever.
I have heat. I still have heat like that. I just didn't get it back.
Really? That's
Come get it, Blockbuster.
I've performed at a Blockbuster.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. There's a Blockbuster that is the last Blockbuster is in Bend, Oregon. What they did was they paid the licensing to use the name. They can still use the name Blockbuster, and so they were there
How
from
much
before.
did that cost?
I have no idea, but you can do it. Like you can actually buy to use Blockbuster's name and throw
I'm
it
sure
on
they
something.
don't turn. I'm sure Blockbuster's not turning down money right now.
Yeah, we could call this Blockbuster featuring buckets of duckets. Like we could do that.
We should.
Yeah, but I got to perform there. I got to perform. We performed in front of the comedy section to like 20 people just after the store closed. It was amazing. They have current DVDs. Like they have like, I guess DVDs are still being made. And they had like current ones, and they had obviously all the old ones. They had a bunch of like memorabilia from Cinderella Man.
Other than nostalgia, can you imagine like sitting at home on a Friday night and be like, I want to watch a movie. I'm gonna get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
How spoiled do I sound right now? I'm not driving to get my entertainment. You fucking
No,
bring it to me.
People only do it there just because it's so novel. It's so like oh, isn't this crazy going to Blockbuster? So it actually does well. Like it's but yeah, they do comedy shows there. Look up Bend Comedy and you can see a bunch of pictures from there. I did it a while back. Yeah. So Eddie Murphy, I find Delirious. I keep it from the video store. I cried laughing. I could not handle how funny this was. I had no idea. Like it's different from Raw. It's a different energy. He's a little bit more like in Raw. He's like kind of seasoned at that point, even though he's still only like 26, 27. He's like he's done all the movies, like all the great like movies that you know before. He's done 48 Hours. I think Coming to America's already. It had happened. Coming to America's already happened. He's already done SNL, Delirious. Everybody fucking loved. So he's just like he's in a different like he's talking from a different place. It's like a more mature place. This one, he's a kid. He's a kid still, and he's in Washington D.C. in this huge arena, like and
it looks like one
theater.
of those churches.
Yeah, it's a theater, but it looks like arena like. It's crazy. And man, I mean, there's a problematic first bit, no doubt. He's dropping the F word quite a bit. He's super homophobic at the beginning. So that's doesn't age well at all. He's talking about that new age shit, which makes me laugh every time I watch. They got that new age shit out there.
Y'all heard about this? Y'all read about this?
And it turns out the 22-year-old in 1983 is horribly misinformed about AIDS, and and so it didn't age well there. But I mean, but the rest of it, man, we talked about this when we watched it together last time that I was down in Louisiana. It's one of the few specials where he starts, like, you see somebody start off dirty, like it's filthy at the beginning, like, because he goes from the homosexual bit inside of there is like he's talking about like Ralph Cramden getting fucked in the ass and stuff, and Mr. T getting fucked in the ass, and he's doing Mr. T impressions. And then he gets into, just how much he's fucking, and he's doing these amazing singing impressions, like his James Brown impression.
Yeah, he was really good at that.
Ha! And Sabada!
I get the song going, all the songs sounded the same. Jamie going, Sabada! Bound the people say, I'm a no, or the mind. Did you see you? No. Come at the Parmesan, other side, sit in the back, grandma, no one there. I. They made you. That was that. Most people know you now. Sit baby now. Down. Find the people say, jump back, want to kiss myself. Hey! Look at him. Say you. 10 bounce. Down. I'm not ready to do my thing.
Yeah.
Moving.
Yeah.
Grooving.
Yeah.
That was about.
You start talking to the band and lose you, right? Say,
Sound about now.
band say, yeah.
To you.
Yeah.
Sound about now.
Yeah. Band be going, what the fuck is James talking about, man? I don't know what we're getting paid. Keep singing. Yeah. Yeah.
All that stuff, like, so fucking funny. Talking about, the band doesn't understand him. Just keep saying, yeah. Like, great. He does that. Michael Jackson, like, he does that Michael Jackson that if I close my eyes, I'm like, that's Michael Jackson singing. But then eventually he gets into just like, one of the greatest bits that I think I've ever seen, which is that whole barbecue bit where he's his dad. That is a 15-minute bit where he is his dad the whole time. He's not like telling the story. He's personifying his dad, and he's talking about his uncle with the that's a fire, and that whole thing, and burning the whole family, and the dad claiming the house. This is my house, and the whole every year, Gus, your wife falls down our steps. You can't walk steps. Your wife's a Bigfoot, Gus. Like all of that shit.
That
the
goes
goody
on for
goo.
so long, but it stays funny the entire time.
It stays funny. He's he's a character the whole time. At the very end of it, like the crowd is losing their mind. Just like the crowd, you could tell that crowd appreciated what they just saw, and they literally, somebody yells, "Do it again!" And he's like, "Do the shit again!" He's like out of breath and drinking water, and he's like sweating. Like, oh man, he's got the ice cream bit.
Yeah, I know that one.
How simple is that? Just how much kids lose their mind at when the ice cream truck
How
comes.
shitty they are about it.
Ice cream, yeah.
I remember I'll get my ice cream, and I didn't eat it. I sang for a little while, You know how kids are heavy going. I have some ice cream. I have some ice cream. I have some ice cream, and I'm gonna eat it all. I'm gonna eat it all. The ice cream be running all down your arm and shit. Ice cream, I'm going to eat my ice cream. No, there'd be one kid on the side, didn't get no ice cream, and kids don't care. They go, you don't have no ice cream. You didn't get none. You didn't get none. You didn't get none. You didn't get none. 'Cause you are on the welfare and can't afford it. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. Other kids join in. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. And his father is an alcoholic. He wants some ice cream. He wants to eat some of my ice cream, but want to lick? Psych. You want some ice cream. You want some ice cream. I'm going to eat all of my ice cream. You cannot have some. You can't.
dropped your eyes, baby.
Cause your parents are on the welfare. They're on the welfare. You can't afford it. You can't afford. Yeah, dude. So good, dude. Definitely like one of my all-time specials.
Are you excited to hear that he might be coming back?
I've had mixed feelings about that. So there's a period of time where I thought, dude, I just want to see him come back. I want to see it. I want to see it. We worked with Charlie. You worked with Charlie. I was in the background. And
You
whenever
worked for Charlie?
I worked for Charlie. And when we're selling merch, people keep asking him. They keep going, Eddie's going to come back. Eddie's going to come back and do stand-up. And Charlie had like a standard answer. He was like, if you hadn't done something in 25 years, would you want to do that? Like, would you think you'd still be good at it? Like, would you want to jump back in? And that was kind of the way he kind of gave like some version of that every time. And then I kind of just thought about it and I was like, man, he's got 2 all-time specials. Like, he's got 2 great specials that are just untouched. There's not a dip really in either one of them. He walked out perfect. Don't be Michael Jordan coming back and playing for the Wizards.
Nope.
Like, I don't really. But I saw him
Hulk
on
Hogan.
I saw him on SNL, and he
killed
it. He was killed. So I mean, if he's motivated and has the stories and can actually, I just don't want to see a sad version of it. That's what
I just wonder. He's been so rich and famous for so long.
What are you going to talk about? How are you going to connect? Right. Yeah, I don't. Right. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, famous, actors start doing comedy all the time. What?
I said I'll let him open for me.
He's gonna have to work a little bit. I'm gonna need to see him at a couple more mics before.
He got to prove himself.
Before I'm just let him in front of my audience. But
you tell him to send you a video, and he sends you Delirious.
Yeah, I want to reference your number 3 special of all time. All right, buddy, you up?
Number 2. Oh man, number 2. Honestly, Live at the Purple Onion by Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I know that you know what number 1 is now because I said that.
No way, it's number 1. Okay. Okay.
Live at the Purple Onion is one of the funniest specials I've ever seen. It's Zach Galifianakis' only special, I believe.
Yeah, he had a Comedy Central Presents like a half hour. That's his only full hour.
I'd seen him on Comedians of Comedy, and I became obsessed with him because he was so weird, and he did comedy so differently, and I loved that he would fake get mad at the crowd and yell and storm off the stage. Like, that's all funny to me.
That definitely influenced you. I mean, we know that. Yeah, that
for sure. Yeah, anybody who saw me do comedy the first 6-7 years I did it, I did Zach Galifianakis basically. I liked. It's funny to watch people be that uncomfortable and squirm like that. Sometimes
he lays on the
floor. I realize now that it's not always, but
he lays on the floor at some point in that special.
Yeah, if you look at, I have pictures of me on stage laying on the floor without my shirt on or championship belts.
He ate a cheeseburger on stage one time.
Yeah, I did. In the middle
you
of the
asshole.
set, I ate a cheeseburger. I thought it was hilarious. I'm reinventing comedy.
What if I just eat a cheeseburger and don't talk about it? What if I don't even mention it?
But I always thought it was funny the way that he would. It always seemed like he was genuinely coming up with the little one-liners off the top of his head. To me, I love Mitch Hedberg, who is not an honorable mention. It should have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Wright. Of those one-liners, Zach Galifianakis was my favorite because of the way that he skewed it towards anger.
Yeah.
Sim, that's the video thing, right? Always to emphasize my boredom, I always put a microphone next to my mouth. Blind, what the fuck are you doing? This is personal between William and I. How does my gut look? I'm serious, this is a very bad position. Oh God, I've gotten fat. And I don't mean PHAT fat. I mean FFFATTT fat. Car horn fat. William. So you're an operator for that Sims game?
No, I do 3D models for the game.
What does that? What does that mean? Really? I mean.
Well.
Fucking boring! Seriously! God damn it! This is a DVD. I need dinosaurs, thunder, race wars, something. Damn it! I gotta sell this motherfucker.
Oh, well, I love Zach. I still love him. If he ever came back, I would be thrilled to see him do comedy again. I watched that Brody's. He was a comedian like Daniel Tosh that you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And when I
he
was
lives
really
like on a
into
ranch
him,
too.
Yeah, a writing reserve in North Carolina. Whenever I became really into him, you know how like you get really into somebody and you want to know more about him, you want to hear more, see what they did, and there's nothing. His website is just a blank page. I mean, like, there's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought ZachGalifianakis.com years ago, and it's like, it's a picture of him and just says, that's it. It just says ZachGalifianakis.com. I think it's a cartoon of him, or it was.
Yeah.
But I love that special. I've watched it a million times over. I like the aspect where he's traveling with his friend and he's also telling stories, and then it cuts to him on stage. But when you do comedy, when you've done comedy for a little while longer and you go back and watch it, it's a little too chaotic and it makes me a little uneasy.
Yeah, it's a different feeling. Yeah, it's an anxious feeling watching that special because you don't. He will walk into the crowd and like touch somebody, or like
there's a scene. There's a cut joke where somebody in the crowd, he gets somebody in the crowd to slap him in the face.
Yeah.
And they cut it and it's like an extra on the DVD and it's hilarious. But Live at the Purple Onion, I've probably seen that more than any except for the one except for my number one.
Oh, the piano playing. I like the piano playing too.
That made me start bringing in a guitar on stage and thinking I could do that, and I couldn't.
I love how much you tried. Early on, you tried everything.
I tried so fucking hard. I tried so hard, and it was bad. All of it was
You tried
bad.
every angle of comedy that you could. So, Mitch Hedberg.
Love him.
Was he, I can't believe, because he actually started a big debate with me on ranking these top fives, to where I actually made a rule for myself that I wasn't going to put any half-hour specials on, because he only has the Comedy Central Presents. He never did an hour special. And so, but yeah, I remember watching that too. I remember seeing that at my mom's house, sitting in the living room. I didn't know who he was until after he died, but I still discovered him probably in like 2005, 2006. So maybe like it was really like right after he died. And I had just never heard like one-liners like that. And I had never heard just somebody bouncing from topic to topic so quickly and so just at his own pace. He looks like just drugged out of his mind. He's just like, like from a different era almost. He's so cool with the glasses and the eyes closed, and just has, crowds are literally like chanting his jokes at him and stuff. Yeah,
which is so impressive to see, but also has to get frustrating after a while.
I think it did. Yeah, it bothered him from what I understand. He's a hero everywhere, but he's a huge hero here because he spent some time in the Seattle scene. And there's actually some older comics out here that I've talked to that have told me like crazy things. There's a comic, Kermit Apio, who has a dry bar special that you guys can go see. But he tells me stories of like listen to what I'm about to say, bringing Mitch Hedberg on the road to like open for him and stuff. That same guy, Kermit, just also when Brody Stevens was starting out, Brody Stevens was out here and brought Brody on the road to open for him and stuff. Like,
rest in peace to Brody Stevens.
Absolutely. Rest in peace to Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg too. I of course. Brody was a really sad story.
Absolutely. Yeah, but Mitch is great. If I break down all my favorite half-hour specials, that one's probably number one. Honestly, it's probably that one. Maybe that Dane Cook specials is number two. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, Hedberg is very quotable. And I still to this day think the funniest things from Saturday Night Live are Toonce the Driving Cat and Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. And when I was a kid, I used to do a newsletter, which means if I got your email, I just mailed you stuff I thought was funny. And I would put together, I would write a newsletter, but I would be like, I had what was it, Dr. Guru, the medical doctor of something, and my catchphrase was, "Does this look infected?" And like, here this week, like just all awful shit. And I would every one I would put Mitch Hedberg quote at the end,
Mhm.
like as a
Yeah.
punctuation to it.
Yeah, Mitch
So
got
I
a lot of
write,
his stuff. Yeah, a lot of his jokes are out there. I remember there was like, I think a rice company or somebody took like his if you want to eat like 10,000 of something, if you're a little hungry.
you get them
Yeah.
confused. I would get them confused sometimes with the Jack Handy Deep Thoughts because in the early days of the internet, it wasn't real good at attributing stuff. So I would hear, you're like, "Wow, that's a really good Jack Handy joke," and then turns out it's Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, Mitch is another guy that like comics caught him a lot. Like comics caught his rhythms and stuff. Like you heard a lot of Mitch
Oh man,
Hedberg
yeah.
clones for a long time. A lot of that
We have
that
been at
like
shows and seen people go up and
and
do
do Mitch Hedberg jokes.
entire Mitch
Yeah,
Hedberg sets.
just do Mitch
If
Hedberg
you're a
jokes.
comedian, don't do a tribute set.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Do that at karaoke.
Just make a
Don't fucking do
podcast
that
and
here.
talk for 2 hours about them.
Yeah,
About comedians you like.
for
All right, what's
real.
your number 2?
Number 2, this man is the GOAT, Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor live in concert. The reason I ranked it above Eddie Murphy Delirious is because I saw an interview with Eddie Murphy before I'd ever seen this Richard Pryor special. And he was talking about how great Delirious was. And he literally said, "Who gives a shit about my special? Go watch Richard Pryor live in concert because that is like what spawned all of this." He said, "If there wasn't Richard Pryor, there wouldn't be me." Eddie Murphy talks about Richard Pryor in the Raw special where he's bitching out Bill Cosby. How about that? How about being on the right side of history way back then? Huh? That's an amazing point.
Eddie Murphy got that little stick in when he was on Saturday Night Live too.
Yeah, Eddie's been calling his shit the whole time.
Who's America's Dad now or something? Like,
yeah, Eddie's been calling his shit the whole time. Tell Bill I said have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
Do you want to get mad? Literally never seen any Richard Pryor stand up. I've seen clips, never seen the specials.
Okay, well, buddy, this is the one that you need to watch.
I'll tell
You need to watch this one, and you need to watch Live at the Sunset Strip, which is a special that came out after this. What were you about to say?
I need to get over some prejudices I have against Richard Pryor.
Okay. I already know where you're going. Go ahead.
Similar to the reason I will never like The Undertaker because he beat Hulk Hogan in his first match in Survivor Series. Richard Pryor is the reason Superman 3 is horse shit. And as a kid, that Superman 3 was the first time as a kid that I was like, "Oh, movies can be bad."
I can tell that a movie is bad, huh?
Oh, I'm 8 and I know this is terrible. And now I'm past it. But
Right.
no joke, for a while I would be like, "No, fuck that." And I would change the serious when he came on because I genuinely hated Richard Pryor because of Superman 3 for a long time.
Wow.
For a long time.
Wow.
I've seen clips of his stand up. I know he's hilarious. Never watched him.
Hilarious. He's yeah. This man created stand-up comedy basically.
Superman 3
as you see it today. Okay, everybody's doing
Splice in a picture of Richard Pryor right here with a pink towel tying around his neck and skis going off the roof of a skyscraper so Superman has to save him. He makes fake kryptonite out of cigarette tar in that movie and nicotine. Ugh.
He talks about getting arrested for shooting his car in this special, and it is amazing. It is.
I am on the wrong side of this so much. We're
yeah,
talking
your
about comedy.
argument
I'm like,
makes
no,
sense. You're just gonna fucking fire me up. It really is what's gonna happen in a little bit. I'm gonna say something I regret. I love you, buddy. I don't want to do that. Let's
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
You fucking better. So here's the thing. This special's so cool. Like this special just looks like it's timeless looking to me. Like you can
What
tell it
year?
was shot 79. You can tell it was shot. I say 1979, and I know you're like, oh, there's no way that this man is doing like today's style comedy the whole time. Like this is what stand-up comedy has been taken from is this guy. He comes out after Patti LaBelle opens the show. You don't see her, but that's who opened the show that he was doing. He does a little credit thing where he says, "We'd like to thank Patti LaBelle. We didn't have time to fit her
That's
in.
fucking huge.
Right? So when he comes out on stage, bro, people, it's intermission. Patty LaBelle just performed. People are in the bathroom. He comes walk out. They don't go, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Pryor. He just walks out, grabs the microphone, and just starts riffing on people coming to sit down. He just starts.
I love it.
He goes, there's people in the bathroom right now freaking out. Like, oh shit, he's on. Come run in. He's pointing at white people, and he's like, I love this part. This is where you get to sit. Well, white people get to see black people stole their seats. and he's just riffing on stuff. There's a guy, whenever the special starts, that's taking pictures of him in the front. He's just somebody in the he's just taking pictures. He won't stop taking pictures. And Richard's being so like cool and like nice with him. And he's like, sit down. He's like, who gives a shit? Who are you gonna show that to? You can be like, this is Richard Pryor. Who gives a fuck? That's like, and the guy's just like steady taking pictures.
I might watch that.
Dude, it's so good. He's taking pictures, and Richard like turns back around and sees that the guy never sat down. He's like, sit your ass down. And like the guy shakes his hand, he goes, sits down. This is all like in the first couple minutes. He just starts riffing like just about like he's talking about the police up top too, which is just upsetting that it like didn't nothing has really changed from what he was talking about back then. Like he was talking about he even said there's a line. He's talking about chokeholds. He's like, police, they'll get you in a chokehold and they'll kill you. And he's like, black people were looking at me like, we knew that. And white people going, we didn't know that. Like, it's 1979, though. He's saying it's 1979. He's the first person to say something.
You know that now, though, don't you?
Yeah. He's the first person to be saying shit like this on stage, like, and to be talking like that. As far as I've read and seen, everybody credits him with like the white guy voice. That he's the one that started doing like and even talking about race in general. Yeah, man, he's so smooth. You'll like him for this. He's got a real chaotic past. Obviously, there's a lot of he's not a perfect person. But he tells you about it. Like he tells you, he's like, in the special, the whole shooting his car thing. He's like, I got in trouble since the last time we talked.
I don't want to never see no more police in my life. At my house, taking my ass to jail for killing my car. And it seemed fair to kill my car to me, right? Because my wife was going to leave my ass. I said, not in this motherfucker, you ain't. No, Lord. No, if you leave, you'll be driving them hush puppies you got on. Because I'm going to kill this motherfucker here. And I had one of them big old magnums. You know that noise they make when you shoot something? I shot a tire. I said, whoo. Tire said, ah. It got good to me. I shot another one. And that vodka I was drinking said, go ahead, shoot something else. I shot the motor. The motor fell out the motherfucker, right? The motor said, fuck it. Then the police came. I went in the house. Because they got magnums too. And they don't kill cars. They kill niggas.
That's
and
funny.
he goes through the whole thing, and he's like, my wife was gonna leave me. I said, not in this car, you not. And he's he's shooting the car up. He said, you gonna walk out here on these hush puppies you got on? And he just is blasting the car, and he he loves animals. You'll like that about him. He's talking about these monkeys that he owns, right? And he's telling us all these monkey stories about first time we saw the monkey, it ran up him and fucked him in the ear, and he's got this whole like monkey fucking him in the ear bit or whatever. And then he's like, my monkeys died. And then he starts talking about, he was like, I was sad outside and the neighbor's dog saw me. He said, Rich, you all right? He said, my monkeys died. He said, your monkeys died? Ain't that a bitch? them monkeys that used to be up in them trees. Yeah. He said, man, I was gonna eat one of them too. He said, and then he curled up next to me and let me pat him a little bit. He said, Rich, don't let that stick to you, man. That'll stick to you. And he walked away. So right before he walked away, he turned back to me. He said, now don't forget, I'm gonna be at your ass again tomorrow. Like, oh man, it's so funny. It's such an easy trick to personify an animal, and he does
Yeah.
it perfectly. There's the bit at the end he talking about that always sticks with me was he's like, you feel like Macho Man, which it might make you mad because he does a Superman. It's pre him doing Superman, but he's talking about when you make a woman come. He's like, you feel like Macho Man. Oh no, it's not. It's actually not about making a woman come, and it's about when you don't make a woman come, but you don't give a fuck. You're like, I don't give a damn if she comes. I'm Macho Man, Macho Man, and that shit just that shit has just been stuck in my head for fucking years. It's one of the greatest specials of all time. He's the coolest person in the world. He just owns the stage. You can see when you watch him, you can see that Chappelle does. I mean, you can see it all over him. They're the two greatest I think of all time. And Chappelle is just he's the generation that grew up on him, and that's he's the next genius. But yeah, Richard Pryor live in concert is my number two.
I'm torn now because I thought I knew your number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was pretty sure I did. All right, well, now
You thought that was gonna be my number one?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. I have two that I think I know your number one. Do you
Okay.
know my number one?
I mean, yeah, based on the way you're teasing me, I think I do. Yeah.
Tennessee Kid, Nate Bargatze. Jay, look, Nate Bargatze is one of the funniest working comedians today. His cadence and pace. I was watching Tennessee Kid on YouTube, and Michelle, my wife, started laughing at the dead horse joke because she thought it was Chase. They don't sound alike, but they have like a country. You have a country twang, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a similar pace. And I listened to Nate before I would go on stage very recently, right up
Mm-hmm.
until the world ended, because listening to him would slow me down and help
Yeah.
me keep my, because he's so slow with his jokes and waiting it out and wait.
He's
Watching
very
Nate,
conversational. He's as much conversational as anybody.
watching Nate is a lot. It's gonna sound like I'm doing a gimmick for the show, but watching Nate reminds me a lot of watching you, and I like that a lot because you're in Seattle and I'm down here, so I don't get to see you as much. And it reminds me a lot of seeing you, the way that he pauses and hits on the funny parts that you don't think. He tells the joke about it, seeing a dead horse on the side of the road
Mm-hmm.
and calling his friends to come help him. And he's like, you can't trick him because as soon as they pull up, they're like, I bet it's about this dead horse. I bet he wants us to move this dead horse dog to sleep. And he says, I had to put my dog to sleep. And the whole crowd goes, oh, and he goes, nothing was wrong. Nothing was wrong. We were just really busy. It made me laugh so hard. And then he talks about how they had to break it to their daughter. And when he's like, I'll tell her, and he had been telling his daughter for 6 months that they were gonna have to put the dog down, and then the dog never died. So he's like, she thinks I'm lying to her. And then he said, finally, when they did put her down, he had to tell her. And then when he came back, his wife goes, did you tell her it was me? Did you tell her I did it? And he was like, no, I told her. Wait, why would you tell her I did it? And then it goes in. Man, I'm murdering it, but it's a really funny bit. It's on Netflix.
No, yeah, any bits that we're doing are just our version of trying. But yeah, obviously we're never going to do justice to the actual thing. Yes.
It's on Netflix. It's called Tennessee Kid, and honestly, I've watched it. I've put it on and let it just kind of play in the background sometimes because I'll come in and out and catch stuff, and it led me to listening to his albums on iTunes.
Yeah.
A lot of
Did it?
He's got 3 albums, and it's a lot of the same material as the special. Just you can hear it tweaked, and then I became. I don't like the way you're. I don't like.
I'm sorry. Let me adjust my posture. My body language is horrible, right? My body language is horrible right now. Yeah.
I like his style. It's very dry and it's slow. And he's somebody whose pace I not mimic, but I try to keep in mind. It's the same as when I do shows with you. I would always listen to you to try to keep my pace to what you do because I have a habit of accidentally starting to talk too fast. And you and Nate do the same thing. Nate does the same thing that you do, is where he lets it kind of sit for a minute and kind of
Yeah. So here's what the reason this is so funny is because I love Nate Bargatze too. I think he is a great comic. I think he's probably one of the best comics like currently working. He's great. We're very similar people. Like
Yeah.
and so
Which is honestly part of why I like him. Any one of his jokes, I feel like the subject could be something you would talk about.
yes, and so because of that, I had to stop listening to him. I literally have not heard a Nate Bargatze joke in years because I'm nervous about catching him because we are too close. Like I don't think you would pick it out if you came saw me. I'm sure there's some people that see me and go, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? You're not Nate Bargatze." Like, but there is moments where rhythms can be similar and the accent thing. And I use pauses a lot. I tell a lot of big stories, and I like to kind of reset and see where things are and kind of see how you react. And uh, he's also just angered me because like he's done just everything that I want to do in my
He's
career.
lived your life.
Like he really has lived the perfect. Like he did the best version of like what I want. Like he did. He's got the awesome late night sets. He's got the awesome Conan set. He's got the awesome Tonight Show set. He turned that into like an awesome half hour special. His hour specials are great. He tours all over. He does all the clubs. We were both kind of raised religious. I broke off of it a little bit. He seems to still be. So that kind of is like similar about us too, which I was just remembering. He also just like sports a lot. He's like a huge sport guy. Always talking about sports the same way. Uh, like there's a show called Pardon the Interruption, which is a sports show on ESPN that's been on for like 20 years. And I used to come home from school and I would watch it every day at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I'd watch it. And it's an old black guy and an old Jew, and they just argue about sports for 30 minutes, and they're amazing. And I've loved this show for so long. And Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. And for some reason, like a year ago, at the end of the show, Tony Kornheiser just decides to go, "Ladies and gentlemen, you need to check out Nate Bargatze. This man is hilarious." And it just fucking pissed me off to no end that you
I got
got
a
that
text from
too.
you like
You
that day. I got a text.
you needed that too. You needed Tony Kornheiser to shout you out, dude. If that happened to me, that'd be the biggest thing that ever happened in my life. It doesn't even register to him. There's no way. I could not fucking believe what I was seeing that he even crossed over into that. Um, yeah, I had to stop listening to him because I never wanted to actually sound like him because there's too big of a chance that it could, and we seem to look at things a little similarly. I haven't heard his material, obviously recently, so I don't know how much it's changed, and I believe that we're much different now. But there was a point in time where I definitely just couldn't listen to him.
Since you've moved, your style is different than it was.
That's what I thought too. I think I'm a more energetic
reminds
on
me-
stage now.
I don't know. It sounds weird to say. He reminds me of listening to you, and I don't know.
No, I get it.
It's a very
He's from
funny,
Tennessee.
lighthearted,
I'm from
clean
Louisiana.
special.
Yeah,
It's
he's
really
another
good.
guy that's you can't tell that he's clean, but it's all clean. Yeah.
He talks
I-
about he was taking his shirt off behind a car, and an old man saw him and thought Nate was that old guy's wife, and he goes, "Rhonda," and he's like, "No, I'm Nate." And then he's like, "I don't know who should be more insulted, me or Rhonda." Like he thought his wife was just behind some stranger's car taking her shirt off, or he thought my body was that of a 90. And it's a really good special.
I remember watching one of his Conan sets, like one of his first ones, where he did some bit about a friend of his. They were at McDonald's or something, and his friend left his sandwich there, and we went to the bathroom, and so he took a bite out of his chicken sandwich and wrapped it back up, and just expecting him to, open it up, laugh, ha ha, realize, oh, obviously it was my buddy Nate or whatever. But apparently he opened it and then lost his shit and was getting ready to fight. And that joke is so funny. It's like, it's like, let's break this down for a second. If it was somebody that worked at this McDonald's, that person must be the greatest fighter of all time because they just blindly took a bite of anybody's sandwich and said, put it out there and was ready to take on anybody. All right. You guys ready for my number one? That you definitely don't think is number one?
Let me see if I got it right.
Okay, my number one special of all time is Chris Rock Bring the Pain.
I thought it was is it Bigger Blacker?
Okay, all right, you're here to. All right, let's have the debate because that was. I
knew it was going to be a Carlin or a Chris Rock.
Yep. Okay. Well, good.
But
I'm
I
glad
thought
that
Bigger Blacker.
Yeah. So Bam!
This
Look
is
look
the
what's
most
right here.
mind-blowing. This is the most mind-blowing one to me, that you love Chris Rock so much because
I've never
you've
sounded
never
like Chris
sounded
Rock.
like him.
Yeah.
You've never said any jokes similar to, like,
It's
it's
a
a weird
confidence
thing that
thing. I just
you will
I
always
watch him
talk
for
about him, though.
confidence. Yeah, I love Chris Rock so much. I just think he's brilliant, man. And so I actually had that debate because I almost want to put these two specials as a tie. They're almost like the same thing to me. They come real close together. They're like 96 and 99 or something. And but I went to Bring the Pain just because this was him like really going, I'm fucking Chris Rock. Like I am Chris Rock. Like people knew him on SNL, but he didn't pop from SNL. And then now he's off. And then he's not in movies or anything. I guess he got a little part in New Jack or whatever, but he's not, and then but now he comes out with this and he is owning the stage and he is storming back and forth. And it is the way it starts, it's got all the great albums that have inspired him before. They're coming up, and Woody Allen's popping up, and fucking
That's
Pryor's
ballsy.
popping up, and all the things. Yeah, and yeah, for him coming out, and then he opens it talking about he's in D.C. I believe he's in D.C., but he's talking about Marion Barry, that mayor that did crack or whatever, and he
Yeah.
was in the Millionaire March. And Chris Rock's got this. He opens the special. It's like,
Marion Barry. Marion Barry. At the Millionaire March. How he get a ticket? It was a damn positivity. How he get it, man? Marion Barry at the Millionaire March. You know what that means? That means that even in our finest hour, we had a crackhead on stage. Well, boo if you want. You know I'm right.
and that's how he opened the special. They boo him. I don't think people realize that he gets booed at that point in the special. And he acknowledges it for a second. He's like, you can boo me, you know I'm right. And then just immediately into the next thing, dude is like, he's on point about everything. The toss salad man is hilarious.
Oh, they showed it all. They was interviewing a brother in there. They said, now, sir, when a new inmate comes in and he wants some drugs, how do you initiate him? The guy goes, well, the first thing I do is make him toss my salad. And then the guy said, no, why must you go through all of that, sir? Why not just oral sex? And the guy goes, well, when a man's sucking your dick, he can pretend that's something else. When he's eating ass, he knows it's ass. I did, yo. We don't need a death penalty. We got the toss salad man. Shit, if I had a choice right now between the electric chair or tossing a salad, I'd be like, so where you plug it in? Shouldn't I be wet? Now everybody tell, oh, schools are out of control. Oh, they're out of control. We need prayer in the schools. We don't need prayer in schools. We need the toss salad man in school. That'll straighten the kids out. Hey, Jimmy, you got a D. You know what you got to do? No! No! I don't want to toss the salad. I don't want to toss salad. I'm a read. I'm a learn to read.
Like I watched this special as like a 12-year-old. Like I was maybe even 10, because this special used to come on Comedy Central in like the middle of the day. It would be edited and they just play it all the time. And I knew way too much, way too young from watching this special. Like he's got an amazing OJ bit on here. He's got
You know what? That's alimony. That's what made OJ crack. That alimony, she paying that big ass alimony. He ain't scored a touchdown in 20 years. That's right. Should have had a prenup. That's right. Prenuptial agreement. Everybody needs a prenup. People think you gotta be rich to get a prenup. Oh no. You got 20 million. Your wife want 10, big deal. You ain't starving. But if you make 30,000 and your wife want 15, you might have to kill her. Shit. Shit, I ain't gonna move back with my mama because you ain't in love.
the black people versus N-word bit, which is like The Office.
Famous in The Office.
Did that there, and I mean that is like one of the most just the way that he's able to talk on real topics, and make it obviously hilarious, but still just like great point of view. Yeah, man. I fucking it's definitely my favorite special of all time. I watched it again the other night just to run it back to make sure that it's the number one, and it's beyond a doubt my favorite special. I think about his confidence when he's on stage. I try to keep that in mind. Just the way he delivers, he says everything. Like
he has a real great
it.
delivery.
He says it like, and he means it, and the way that he walks back and forth on stage and steps forward when he tells his jokes and leans into stuff. Like,
he leans in a lot.
This special is amazing. The OJ Simpson thing, the whole like, I'm not saying he killed her, but I understand, is such a crazy take on.
And I'm not saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
I actually heard him talk about that in an interview where he was talking about doing jokes on things that everybody's done. And it's kind of my thing that I said about one of the specials earlier about Chappelle talking about Lewinsky thing was that, if you're going to do it, it better be the best one. And I do think that's the best OJ bit of all of them. Like, it's a fantastic bit. Bring the Pain. My number one.
I'm going to check that one out. I've seen the other one. I don't think I've seen Bring the Pain.
Yeah, gotta get it.
I'm sure we left some out.
Of course we did. This was hard as hell to do.
Yeah, we'll probably have some more that we'll have to mention in the next episode. But this has been fun.
Man, this has been great. This is a long one. This is definitely the longest one we've done.
Yeah, my children have definitely burned the front of the house down. I can hear them from here. My wife will never talk to me again because I've been back here for 2 hours jerking off with all you idiots.
Hey, make sure you guys subscribe on everything, leave comments, tell us your top fives. We want to hear your top fives.
Yeah, tell us your top fives. Tell us which ones we missed. Tell us how right I am and how much Chase sounds like Nate Bargatze. And then I look like Zach Galifianakis or Seth Rogen, or we've been told that we were Jay and Silent Bob, which is my favorite one.
Yeah, I can't believe somebody said that. Let's wrap it up. This is going to be the first one where we actually wrap it up live. Thank you guys for listening.
I love you out there in Duckets land. Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.